Going beyond your self-created persona is no easy task. First, you have to realize that you are not your personality. You're not your emotions, your thoughts, even the way you feel. Feelings arrive from past experiences, and experiences become our emotions. So how can that possibly be you? Over time, decades of life, we tend to become a certain type of person. In fact, we can easily be categorized today into various personality types. We may be open or closed, be prone to extraversion, high or low in levels of agreeableness or conscientiousness, and neuroticism. You're not your moods, traits, attitudes, or personality type. That is simply how you present yourself to the world. We all present a false front, and those false fronts are needed in the beginning of life for survival. But there comes a time when we need to drop those masks, to shed them like dead wood. When we're young, slay or be slain becomes the ego's ethos that our minds believe is our reality. We fight, we flee, and close off. We become codependent, anxious, or avoidant, or all of these. We can become neurotic even, but that's not who you really are. In part, we have an unseen subconscious self. We also have a spiritual and emotional component that can't quite be seen either. Animals teach us that we are different from them. We are self-aware beings who can choose our attitudes at any given moment. If we're not careful about the gravitas of the question, who am I? We tend to drift through life on autopilot. We become lost eventually, of course we do. We doubt our own divinity early on in life, and we forget who we really are beyond the immense distractions that life brings to us every day. We would, however, do well to remember and keep the perspective of the bigger questions in life, of who we are and why we are here, and what we should be doing with it all. Lose sight of that, and life can become a nihilistic hell, steaming with drama, emptiness, and a lack of sense and purpose. What we need to do then is simply take the time to start re-looking and contemplating the question of who am I, and do the work to find out what answers come. We need to examine the bigger questions in life. The question of who am I is deeper perhaps than any other question. If we don't know who we are at the core, we won't recognize, perceive, or understand the things that are like us. We won't be able to comprehend divinity. Remember today that you are standing on holy ground. It took a lot of energy to get you here to this point in your life, to this very day and time, with the understanding of life that you currently have. Either you squander that or use it well. You can do something extraordinary with the answers that follow, your introspection. Maybe you're more than you think you are. And if that's true, your undervaluation could have you feeling powerless and lost in the wilderness. Contemplative practice is about stopping and taking enough time and energy to examine the bigger questions that you may have forgotten about years ago. Perhaps this could be to your detriment. Perhaps you're a matter that matters. You're emotional, connected to nature, parents, siblings, and life itself. You're riddled in energy, and energy is information. What is that consciousness or information telling you and others about what is going on here? Like a riddle, it must be organized and ordered. And when we can do that simply from being still and calming the mind's endless chatter about the daily grind, a question of who am I, being just 3 little words strung into a short sentence, can take you on a joyride of life transformation, or on a ride to a place of joy, so to speak. E.E. Cummings said, "To be nobody but yourself in a world which is doing its best night and day to make you everybody but yourself means to fight the hardest battle which any human being can fight and never stop fighting." These are profound words to what I call the journey to sacred self, which is a picture and sense of your true identity as a spiritual human being. If it's true, even metaphorically, that the snake in the garden deceived us, that its sole purpose is to keep us mentally asleep as snake venom would do to the body, then we must search for the truth. Who am I is the start of that journey. of your life as a seeker and sojourner of truth, authenticity, and reality. William Blake said in Auguries of Innocence, we are led to believe a lie. If we were able to recognize that lie in our own lives, we would see the world as a different place. Heaven, really. Blake says to see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wildflower. To hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour would be our conscious awareness of how we overcome the problems of time and space. Those are all the problems that they really are. That leaves nothing excluded. All that wisdom from just one poet. It's incredible. And maybe the answers to most of life's fundamental questions, like who am I, are so close to us for so long. We develop blurred eyesight to these answers with too many trivial questions. To be truly yourself is the greatest accomplishment you will ever have. Aside from your racing, ceaseless thoughts, emotions that go up and down, regardless of how our bodies feel and what they tell us we've become, you may be far, far more than what you're able to perceive at this moment. So you've got to go on a journey, and that journey is within. You need to stop contemplating the lie for a moment and start searching for authenticity. It's something that we need to be reminded that we need to do every so often and transform our lives into something more and more miraculous and beautiful. Become still and contemplate life from a new lens, one that is unclouded by our jaded persona. Now, of course, a persona is going to get jaded. It's not real. It's a mask, persona meaning masks, and masks need to go. This life, of course, is a journey to our authentic selves. We must discover what reality is, both inside and without. I can tell you, seek out your sacred self and you will find it. Because as Rumi reminds us, what you seek is seeking you too. And that may be heaven or hell. It depends on how you look at life. And when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at actually change. In my opinion, it seems that a belief in hell oftentimes comes first for us. Then, rather than break down and die of meaningless misery, we can let go of the persona and break wide open and let the real contents of who we are, at our core, our values, ambitions, deep intentions, spill out once more. And then we become who we truly are meant to be. The closest answer I can find is that we are all becoming more divine, more like God each and every day. The way the prophets, the teachers, the characters have all taught us God is, that's how we are becoming. More loving, kind, empathic, more still and generous. We drop the ego and we find our sacred selves. This is the reason of why we are really here. Becoming more like God than our animal or human self is becoming more like love, like reality and bliss, one little day at a time.